been doing this a while now, for a couple of years.
Yes.
Why Kansas City for you? What has made this place so special?
You know, I was asked that question today, and the answer is very simple. In my mind, my favorite daytime city is San Francisco. My favorite nighttime city is New York. And my favorite daytime city by far is Kansas City because of the people. The people are absolutely amazing. In Kansas City, instead of stabbing you in the back, they have your back. And they pick you up and they work together as a unit. I love that.
You've become kind of like this pseudo, I guess, mouthpiece, ambassador for Kansas City. You talk about Kansas City wherever you go.
Yeah.
What was the moment that you had where you're like, oh my God, this place is unbelievable, I can't believe it?
When I came back to Kansas City in 2014 in the World Series, I had where the Royals owner told me you should move or change clothes. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. When I came back to Kansas City for game 6 here, they were so nice to me. Everybody wanted to take me for barbecue. They wanted to come to my hotel, and I'm like, I don't even know these people. And they want to take me out to eat and stuff like that. So I said, this is crazy. And then when I went around, they were so nice to me. They made me feel like I've been in their family my whole life. And I just met them.
You know, the charitable aspect of things is so obviously important to this town, and you've embraced that so much. What does it do for you to be able to get back, to come here to Children's Mercy, to see these kids, to go to the schools and visit kids, the firehouses, and see folks down there? What's that do for you?
It helps me pay it back to the people who got me better. What a lot of people don't know is when I graduated high school, I was paralyzed. I lived in a wheelchair. And they told my parents, because I had what's called Staphylococcus bacterial endocarditis, that I probably wasn't going to live, and I had like 2 weeks to live. And Emory University Hospital, which is a teaching hospital with experimental drugs, saved my life and rehabilitated me and got me back to normal. And I promised that if I was able to walk again, I'd never forget that. So if you ever see me at a KU game, the first thing I do when I get to Lawrence inside, I go where the wheelchairs are. And I take pictures of all the people in wheelchairs because they can't come to me. So I go to them. And I've never forgotten that, and I enjoy that. And it makes me feel good inside to help pay people back, just like I did with the firemen too.
Yeah, you've been doing that a lot, obviously, with kids, with firemen, with teachers, with everybody. Was that something that you were able to do because of baseball, or was that something you always kind of wanted to do and baseball gave you that outlet? How did the two interconnect?
I've always done that. I've always donated to tons of charities, and what I realized was I don't like writing a check. So if you have a charity event and you invite me to it, I go and I'll buy everything in a silent auction. And I'll give it to my office staff. So we also tell them in advance stuff we'd like to have. So like a Best Buy TV or something like that. So we go to auctions and I buy things, and it's my way of paying it back or paying it forward to strangers. When I got to Kansas City, my second year here in 2015 was when the firemen died. And so when I heard they were trying to raise money for the families with the hat, which is in the picture I'm going to send you, which was happening by coincidence today, the KCFD hat, they were trying to raise money and for the families, and baseball wouldn't let the players wear it. So they reached out to me and they said, yeah, I'll wear it. And when they got short of the goal that I thought I wanted, I also donated some money anonymously, and then the union put out what I did, not me. So I said, don't ever do that again, there'll be no more money. So I have kept giving money to people here that you don't know about, because that's me, that's what I do.
You know, this town, obviously, the baseball brought it back to life. It regenerated this city like nobody's ever seen before.
And brought everybody together.
And brought everybody together.
Yes.
You've gone to a lot of sporting events. Do you ever see cities come together like this for a sports event or for a team?
City? One of the things I told about Kansas City was, if they win the World Series against the Giants, they're not going to riot. They're not going to burn down cars. They're not going to storm the police stations like they do in Detroit. They do in Philadelphia. It's scary when they win. Kansas City is total class. And I told them, if you win Game 7, which you didn't, you lost to the Giants, they're not going to be burning down the city. And what happened was, they told us in 2015 in New York, nobody thought that you were going to win the World Series there. The Mets are bringing out their best pitchers. We said, let's just get one game and go home and win in Kansas City in Game 6 or 7. And they told us the parade was going to be Friday. Well, when you won the game late Sunday night, they still told us the parade's going to be Friday. So everybody went out in New York shopping. I met Zobrist's dad in Times Square, and he tells me, I just got a text message, the parade's tomorrow. I go, wait a minute, it's 8 o'clock at night. How can we get there? How can it be tomorrow? So what happened was, I didn't go to the parade, and I really wanted to go too. I didn't go. And I was invited by a few people to sit in the back of their pickup trucks, and the fire department said, we'll stick you in the engine. I said, I can't get back in time. So the next day, I'm walking down, I don't know which street it is in New York, and they're showing a parade. And I see all this blue. And I said, you know what, those crazy people in Kansas City, they painted the grass blue. All their fountains are blue. Everywhere you go, it's a blue fountain. They painted the whole grass blue. And some guy said, hey, that's not painted. Those are people. What? People? And I looked. And I thought like 300,000. Then it was 500,000. Then it was 800,000 people with no crime, no riotings. That's Kansas City. I would expect that. It was so cool. And everybody was talking about, you set the standard that people could equal or never beat. And when Chicago won, and they had millions go because it's Chicago, they said, let's copy Kansas City. I was here in Chicago. Let's copy Kansas City. No rioting, no looting. Let's do class.
What's been the coolest thing? What's been your biggest aha moment with all of this giving back? You had that moment where you're like, I can't believe I'm able to do something like that.
That's why I'm here. That's exactly why I'm here. When I went to I've done a lot of stuff. When I went to the KU hospital, they brought me to meet specific people who couldn't get to the World Series because they were in the hospital. And they mentioned, I'd like to meet the guy on TV. So they said, can you send the visor? So I had this idea. Instead of me mailing the visors, I delivered the visors. So I came here, instead of shipping them by FedEx, like 6 visors, I went and I handed the visors to people who were in the hospital. When I did that, doctors who were operating came out of the room in their scrubs to take pictures with me. And I'm like, whoa. The nurses, who's in the emergency, who's in the OR? The anesthesiologist. I was taking group photos. Then I heard that the children, which I had not planned to see children, and one of the cancer children wings wanted to see me. When I went there, I saw how much they lit up. They were so happy to see me. And I said, I need to do that again. And then when they reached out to me here, I said, this is perfect. I want to go put a smile on some kids' faces today, like people did for me when I was in the hospital, and give me hope for the future.
I want a story about you that you've never told anyone.
Never told anybody?
Maybe something you saw here in Kansas City, something you've done, somewhere you've been, one of the great moments you've had, something that you've never shared with anybody.
I shared one today, but it didn't make the air. Joe Namath was at my house on the Friday night before Super Bowl number 3. And I was about 8, 9 years old, and I tortured him. And I told him, Johnny, you was the best one, to kick his ass. And my dad dragged me in the house by my ears, and Namath was so mad when he got drunk the next day, he guaranteed he would Super Bowl number 3. And the reason
so you're taking credit for Namath guaranteeing. He's taking credit for this.
Because across the street, John Zanetti's mom was Bob Talamini's sister, one of the guards. And Joe Namath, Emerson Boozer, Don Maynard, and John Sauer and Talamini all went for lasagna dinner at his offensive lineman's sister's house Friday night, and I'm the one that pissed him off. And everybody talked about that for a long, long time, and that has never really made it on the media. But this morning, I mentioned that on the radio show, and they only mentioned it briefly, but that's true. First time that's been on a video. True. And funny thing about it was, I had forgotten that. I totally forgot that. And I was in New York City for the Rockette show last December, and some people said, let's take pictures in famous landmarks. So I put this on after the rock show to take pictures. A guy walks up and he goes, I'm John Zanetti. I go, you're John Zanetti? I thought you were dead. I thought you died. He goes, no, that was my next door neighbor who died when he was in a crash. He said, do you remember before Super Bowl 3, when Joe Namath was at my house, you tortured so much he guaranteed he'd win the next game? And I'm like, oh my God, I totally forgot that. I got in so much trouble for that. My dad beat the hell out of me. True story. Accidentally, I'm bringing Kansas City and Miami together. Okay, when I was here last year doing a charity event at one of your high schools for kids who have cancer, that's the high school, it's called Hoops for Hope. I was there, and then there was a Royals player there who I never met before named Christian Colon. Okay? Didn't know who he was, but I remember he had a base hit that won the World Series, one of the games. So we had a home run derby with a wiffle ball. He beat me by 1 home run out of all the people, okay? Anyhow, we became friendly, and then when the Marlins had trouble, I told the Marlins people in the infield, why don't you go get Colon? They just DFA'd him. That was like 6 days before they did it. And I can't say their names, but I told them, we need this guy for depth. We have no veteran, we have no leadership. Prado's hurt, the shortstop's hurt, he can play all those positions. And then, sure enough, when they picked him up, I sent him a message on Facebook, Twitter, hey, you're now a Marlin, let's get together. And so we're gonna get together, have dinner together with Volquez. So we have now 2 former Royals on the Marlins.
I saw that tweet.
Okay, so we're gonna have dinner, and I'm gonna try and bring them there. We have something in common. Yeah. We both lost our pitchers. We lost Jose, and you lost Ace Ventura. Okay, so I saw how baseball was bringing everybody together at the Jose Fernandez game when the Mets came out. I came up with a phrase. Okay, and here's the phrase: we're going to bring the country together, one game at a time.
Are you going to buy the team?
I actually made an offer in 2006, but they didn't accept it.
Make
They want
another
too much
one.
money. I know. I had a lot of money back then behind me. We had $400 million we offered him. But he paid $150. We offered him $400. He said no. Before he had a stadium, I had somebody who had the money. And they wanted me involved in management, not management, but because they were out of the country. And baseball, as a rule, you have to be an American owner. So, and the Marlins owner said no. So that's a true story nobody's heard before.